We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football, and if you do as well. If you need just a little bit of extra content, college football content, to get you through the days, to get you through the nights, subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Share it with your psychiatrist. Share it with your priest. Share the video with your significant other. Share it across your various platforms that you are involved in. Welcome in to the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Wow, a lot of stuff going on tonight. Colorado, the 80 speaks. Rick George. We covered that in an emergency episode earlier this evening. Now we just got wind of two new Colorado Board of Regents meetings, special session that was just scheduled. It was scheduled within the last couple hours. Special session meetings, yes, they do have an agenda. Yes, the agenda has nothing to do with possible realignment. But both days have the same agenda. How often do two new scheduled special session, closed session meetings are scheduled? And they both days have the same exact agenda. How often does that happen? Is one of those a placeholder for other information that they're going to discuss? Welcome in. Let's get to it. Okay. A lot of people already in the house here. Skull Ducky, Kyle, Ryan Martin, John Telly, N.Y. Grape, Laura Weiss, Clint Moses. Thanks for all coming in. Conundrum D5 Terps, Mr. Terrapin is in the house. Secret Agent, Randy Taylor, Tu Masta, Mr. Monkey Says, Dylan Burns, AMAC, Nick Kelso, Lou. Lou is in the house. John Telly, thank you so much for your donation. Thank you for your generosity. Why do so many Big 12 fans hate Utah? As if they've done anything wrong but have open arms for Colorado when they're one. That's the one that ran off with the pool boy. Good point on Colorado. I don't think, you know what, I think the Big 12 fans would actually love Utah into the conference. Yeah, there's a lot of elbows being thrown right now, but I think a Utah BYU, come on, that's money. That's money for the conference. That's money for Utah. That's money for BYU. That's money for the network. It's money for the national advertisers. So, I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of this is to be expected, right? But I don't think there's real hatred. Maybe, okay, people are upset with each other. I get it. But I think deep down, a lot of Big 12 fans would love for Utah to come into the conference. Now, Utah, I can completely understand why they want to stay in the Pac-12, just like what Colorado's athletic director, Rick George, said in that interview with Brian Howell. So, anyways, thanks for the donation. I appreciate it very much. Animosity makes great TV. Mr. Terrapin says it beautifully. Absolutely beautifully. Okay, let's get to it. First of all, make sure you all know the rules. Cloak and Dagger, late Friday night. Drink responsibly, whether it's your Diet Coke, a little bit of Coke and rum, a little bit of beer, tequila. Have fun, drink responsibly. Cloak and Dagger, it's all over the place. First of all, let's get to the two meetings that are scheduled. Now, Justin Walker from Coos Corner, he's the first one that I saw put it out on Twitter. So PATC considers Justin Walker the MVP of tonight. He broke the news of the two new scheduled meetings. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this together. The meetings scheduled Tuesday, May 30th, special board meeting, executive session only. Wednesday, May 31st, special board meeting, executive session only. Now, that means, the public can't be there, no questions, right? When their last meeting was May 24th. And let's just say that Peek Around the Corner was looking very carefully at that day. There was some stuff going on I really can't get into right now. But we were looking at to see if there was going to be an added executive session meeting added to May 24th. The May 24th meeting was not an executive session. But we were thinking possibly it could be added. It did not get added. We believe that meeting on May 24th, the time was extended. In other words, originally that meeting was scheduled to go from 1 to 3:15 Mountain Time, but it seemed to have been extended from 1 to 4 o'clock. But it wasn't about what we're discussing here tonight, which is possible realignment for the University of Colorado. Now, after May 24th, the next meeting that was scheduled was June 20th. June 20th. Yeah, Conundrum just said all these meetings after a 3-day weekend. After that, yeah. Monday being a holiday, it's everything about this for me spells cloak and dagger. We do not know for sure. Of course we don't. This just popped up. A lot of phone calls are being made. People are trying to figure this out. We're going to hit the agendas here of these two meetings. And again, it gets even more odd when we look at this. Remember here, peek around the corner, before we get to the agendas of these two meetings, that is listed. Remember, we've been talking about Act 11. It's going to go on for a couple weeks. And then Act 12, action scene, we believe it could be an action scene in and around June 1st. We talked about Colorado being in the middle of the stage. We just heard what the Colorado athletic director said to Brian Howell from Colorado beat writer. We're going to go through that short little thing again tonight. Talking about how Colorado basically needs to do what's best for them. Absolutely, there's a change in tone, a change in tenor, a change in phrasing. And I also said in that episode, the reason why we think there's going to be some action potentially popping around June 1st is, I gotta be honest. I think there's a little pressure being put on from the Big 12 on Colorado. That's what we believe. Now, these meetings going on here, agenda item, special board meeting, executive session only. You see the action. It's a personal matter at CU System Treasurer Search. Looking for a new treasurer. Okay? May 30th. No question about it. That's what this meeting could entirely be about. A treasurer search. The next meeting. This is May 30th. The next meeting. May 31st. Personal matter. Treasurer search. Same exact agenda. Now maybe one of these two are a placeholder. Or both of these meetings are exactly what they say it is. Closed session, doing some background, possibly some interviews. But I want to bring this up. Back to this. Special board meeting. Executive session only. Honestly, if action was going to take place on June 1st, around June 1st, we would see the following. Special board meeting on May 30th or May 31st. That's what we would see. So both of these meetings could be exactly what they say they are. 2 days of searching for a treasurer. Searching, doing some background check, doing interviews, right? But it's going to be so much easier for the Colorado Board of Regents to have these two meetings lined up, May 30th, 31st, extend one of them or both of them to talk about what is going on at the University of Colorado, in which, of course, we believe at Peek Around the Corner, we're at the end game here, and whether Colorado sticks or goes. There's been a couple special, unique events that have happened in and around University of Colorado. The hot bubble of action, and then one here recently. Again, we cannot go into the details of that tonight, but when Colorado makes it known they're sticking or going, we're going to be given all the details here at Peek Around the Corner. But we know that these two things happened. Very unique. The hot bubble of action happened in the first week of May, was a shot to the solar plexus of the Pac-12, but Pac-12's hanging on. Then something very unique happened just a couple days ago. And then we get this interview that we covered in our emergency episode 221, Brian Howell. Conference realignment in college athletics continues to be a hot topic. Colorado has been at the center of some recent reports. Colorado may or may not be ready to make the jump, but AD Rick George said the Buffaloes, are going to do what's best for the school. They're going to do what's best for the school. Those are changed words. Those are changed words from Rick George. I want to go back to these words, ladies and gentlemen. If that's okay with you all. If I can find it. Here we go. Rick George, a couple months ago, there's absolutely no truth to this tweet. And then John Canzano said Colorado has spoken. Couple months ago, but now we have these. Now we're talking. We're going to do what's best for Colorado. We're talking about how these negotiations are taking much longer than expected. The longer the conference goes without a deal, the more antsy schools, including Colorado, could be and looking at other options. And they've been talking with the Big 12 for months. And now here's the other money shot that we talked about at Peek Around the Corner in this article. We're members of the Pac-12, Rick George says. We're proud members of the Pac-12. We got to see where a media right deal lands and where our conference goes. In a perfect world, we love to be in the Pac-12. But we also have to do what's right for Colorado at the end of the day. We will evaluate things as we move forward. Oh, they've been doing that for a while. Some very unique events has happened at the University of Colorado here in the month of May. Very serious stuff. We talked about the hot bubble of action, and it happened in the middle of the hot bubble of action. It happened exactly when it went exactly as we believed in the month of April when we reported this to you all. There's a certain process that's going on here. And we believe the end game is soon at Peek Around the Corner. Because you don't let this stuff linger. I get it. I get it. I get it. In a perfect world, the Colorado would stay in the Pac-12. Also in the perfect world here, for Rick George and the University of Colorado and the chancellor, they would also wait to see what the Pac-12 media deal is going to look like. Remember, Arizona President Robbins said, I know what the Big 12 number is. I got to see what the Pac-12 number is, and I'll make a business decision. That was Arizona President Robbins. However, can they wait to see what the Pac-12 media deal is going to look like? I know they want to. Of course, you want to give your commissioner all the chance in the world to get a deal, to at least present a deal in front of you before you make this crucial, important decision. But can Colorado wait any longer? How much longer can they wait? The great unknown of what's going to happen a month or 2 months from now in this crazy landscape. Can Colorado actually wait? Can Colorado wait another 5 years? 4 years? 3 years? One of the great value adds that Colorado has right now is being the first one to go. If they're not the first ones to go, their value to the Big 12 drops. Having being the first school to go gives great value to the Big 12. Because now the chances of Yormark adding in Arizona goes up significantly. So Colorado, you think you want to make sure you're the first to go. Now they want to see the deal, but is there a deal anywhere close to being done, to being presented to them? I don't think so. I don't think so. If there was, and we've talked about this at Peek Around the Corner, if there was a deal ready to pop for the Pac-12 presidents to look at, man, we'd be hearing about it. We'd be hearing about some of it. There'd be a positive messaging coming out of the Pac-12 commissioner's office. They'd leak it to one of the press, favorable press, somebody in the press that would tell us something tangible. There has to be meat on that bone at some point. We'd be hearing about it if there was anything to deliver to us. Besides the generic, we're almost there. We're getting close. We got the linear thing. We got the linear part worked out. Now we're just working on the streaming. None of that works. Give us some meat on the bone. ESPN, they're out. They're out. Dennis Dodd's reporting was accurate. They're out. Yeah, they'll come in on pennies of the dollar. Sure, fine. But that doesn't help that doesn't help the Pac-12. Fox, they're out. They're out. NBC, they're out. Amazon, they're out. Utah, Arizona State. What are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, at some point, you've got to say, George, this is it. Lay it in front of us. If you don't have it now, you're not going to have it later because the networks are speaking loud. And as I've said here, Peek Around the Corner, these reporters that have been getting thrashed by idiots on Twitter and message boards, these reporters are actually being cautious, reserved, conservative in what they're telling the people about what is going on in the Pac-12 when it comes to potentially landing a media deal. It doesn't look good. We've been on this here at Peek Around the Corner since February 24th is the day that we said the odds have flipped. That was over 3 months ago. The odds flipped. We thought at that time there was a better chance that the Big 12 would actually be able to poach a Pac-12 school. Because of the low balling, the low offers that the Pac-12 received among their current media partners. And then with schools of the Arizona schools not wanting to be all major streaming, not at this time, not for 2024, 2025, 2026. It doesn't work. In their opinion, it doesn't work. And by the way, a lot of people in college believe, they agree with the Arizona schools. They agree with Colorado. They don't think streaming is quite there yet. It's too much of a gamble for the big time tier 1 games in your conference. It's too much of a gamble. So it's not just those four corner schools. It's Big Ten schools believe the same thing. So I'm going to get to your comments. First of all, Stephen McNeely, thank you so much for your incredible generosity. I'll take your subscription, please. Thank you so very much. We don't have subscriptions here, but we appreciate the donations. The donations are what keep this channel going, keeps the light on. We're not going to do subscriptions in this channel, but thank you so much. And the reason why we're not going to do it is because when we have information, we just give it to you. It can be any time, night or day, any level of information, from little nuggets to big ones. We've done it all here at Peek Around the Corner. We will continue to do so. And I cannot sit here and go, well, let's see, that piece of nugget is tier 1, tier 2, Patreon, tier 3. We're not doing that here at Peek Around the Corner. Whatever we know, whatever we think we know, we're going to give it to you as fast as possible in the best way. And hopefully it's a bit entertaining. Let's get to your comments. Thank you, Mr. McNeely, for that generous donation. Okay. Woo! A lot of comments in the comments section. I am way behind. Way behind. Stephen McNeely says Utah would give the Big 12 an instant national championship contender in women's gymnastics and skiing. The real meetings are held secretly. Well, this special session is, as for the board, that is not in secret. Every meeting has to be posted. Every meeting has to be posted. So, you are not going to, let's go back to this. Every meeting has to be posted in public on that site. So, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why, look, I don't know. I don't think any of us knows here in the chat room, people watching the show. I don't know. These could be exactly what they say they are. However, the people are there. Special board meeting. The agenda could be extended. We believe it was on May 24th. See, it's all lined up for something to happen here, because if they're going to talk realignment, if they're going to talk about the issues, Colorado, it's going to be in a special board meeting. It's going to be exactly this on exactly these days if the June 1st date still applies to what we think is going on. You guys understand me? Do you know what I'm saying? Look, they're going to be talking about a search for the treasurer, right? It could fill up both those days. But it's just very, it gets your antenna up when you're looking for a special board meeting to be produced on one of those 2 days. And then it does. It just pops tonight. Both meetings have the same agenda. One of them could be easily adjusted. Because this is the type of meeting that they would look at, talk about, and then they would pop it open. They would pop it open. It'd be an open session. Then they would quickly vote. If that's what this is all about. But it would start, we believe, in a special board meeting, an executive session only. And it just so happens, out of nowhere, there's a reason why myself and others, there's a reason why we've been checking this site over and over, refreshing, hammering the refresh to see if this would actually pop. Oh, and it did. And it did pop. Again, it might mean nothing. It might mean exactly what they say these two back-to-back meetings are. A search for the treasure. But isn't that convenient that that's happening on the 31st or the 30th and they can, they can fit something else in one of those two meetings. Talk about realignment. I just find that extremely convenient if this is not about realignment. Agenda meeting May 30th. It's about the personal matter. Treasurer search. Oh, 31st. Exact same agenda. Very interesting. Now, are you hearing anything about Oregon State? No, I'm not. I haven't heard anything about Oregon State. But look, Colorado has to be careful here, right? One of their best values in this situation is the ability to be the first one to go to the Big 12. So you got to watch your backside, Colorado. You got to watch your backside. Someone else might want to steal that number one, be the first spot. It might be the race to your mark. It might become a race to your mark. We're getting to that point, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason why we're getting to that point is not because what people are saying on Twitter or on this YouTube channel or this Endeavor plot. It's because the Pac-12 can't get a deal. Can't get a media deal. Not so far. That's what's driving all this. Can't get a decent media deal. So Colorado, you got to watch out for your backside. And I think, I'm not saying there's an official deadline that Yormark has put out there. If he has, we don't know about it. But we do believe he's tightening the screws. He's tightening the screws because he knows he can. And I've said this before. Who's getting heirs on what? What are we talking about getting heirs on? Is it this YouTube channel or the Colorado Board of Regents site? Oh, the chat's having problems? Because right here we got excellent connection. I can see all your comments. Arizona State. Well, Arizona State, they are now outside. They're not in the building yet. They're looking through the clear doors. They're looking through the windows. They're outside. They're looking in. Utah's down the street, and behind Utah, UNLV has a chain link. The UNLV has a padlock connected to that chain link. We'll talk about UNLV probably in a couple days from now. And San Diego State is probably across the street in an apartment building up about 4 levels with binoculars looking to see who's trying to get into the front door of the theater. Okay, let's get to your phone calls. Seven 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Phone calls. What do you think? What do you think about this Colorado situation?
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, the floor is yours.
Mr. Flugar.
Yes.
I have just a couple notes here. First of all, a treasurer position, I mean, this isn't the controller. That's a little more serious. But usually in that situation, I've dealt with board meetings in various different nonprofits and for-profit corporate entities before. And usually a situation like this, they spend like 20 minutes talking about the treasurer and they go with the president's recommendation or the CEO or the CFO's recommendation, in this case the president's recommendation. This is a placeholder.
But but what if it's interviews, though? What if it's interviews?
A Board of Regents isn't going to waste valuable time on interviews. That's something the president would do.
Okay.
I mean, you're not talking about, the controller position. You're just talking about the person that just disperses the checks, not making the financial decisions.
Yeah.
The person that, so, I mean, it's sort of, these Board of Regents, have busy lives. They do, and they're doing different things, and they don't have the time to sit there and interview 12 candidates. They're not going to do that. But anyway, I want to point something out to folks. A lot of people have been saying that, they're just keeping their tight lip. They've got something with the Apple. Apple, it just takes a long time to hammer out the details, blah, 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 blah. And they use the Big Ten as, the little Kevin Warren mistake as some sort of excuse for why they need to take their time. But I want to remind them of this. If this was true and they had a great deal coming down the pipe and it was just hammering out some details, even if they wanted to keep closed mouth about it, why would two ADs be saying that we're going to evaluate our options and do what's best for our conference?
Exactly. Absolutely correct. An AD, Rick George, would not have said those words in an interview with a Colorado beat writer if he had any belief that was going to be a good deal presented to them in the next week or so. There's no way he would have said those words.
Exactly. And second of all, you keep on hearing new TV partner after new TV partner being talked about with a PAC. And, if you remember clear back in October, it's Amazon with the flavor of the month. And now it's Apple. And, they've gone back and forth. In a quote, unquote deal this complex, if you're dropping down tiers in quality of broadcast partners, that tells you that quality partners like ESPN and Fox don't want to pay what the PAC's asking. And we know that. That's pretty clear at this point.
Yeah.
And second of all, people need to understand ESPN gets about $9.50 per customer in carriage fees. CW, an average networks usually get about 50 cents per customer. Now, people have to understand also that if CW is running afternoon games and they're going up against the SEC, ACC, and other, the Big 12 and Big 10 on primetime platforms that are getting big viewers, they're not going to get, they're competing on an obscure channel for viewers, and the ad buy money's not there. What I'm trying to say is CW doesn't have the revenue to support paying the PAC significantly. That's just the reality of it. And also keep in mind, if this is their first foray into college sports, they're going to want like a 7 or 8 year deal. They're not going to want a 3 or 4 year deal. This is an investment for them, and they're going to want more commitment, because for them to jump into college football and then just have everybody bail in 5 years is a waste of a lot of time, effort, and programming decisions, and it just doesn't work. The final point I want to make, and I think it's absolute ludicrousy. You hear this argument that, we'll just sub-license games to Fox or ESPN, and Apple will just sub-license it. What these people don't understand is that is absolutely stupid business policy. And the reason being is Apple can do that with MLS because MLS has 30 teams and like 10 times the games that the Pac-12 has. So they have a reason. They have teams and followings. They have a reason to get subscriptions, and they can throw a bone out every once in a while and have a linear game on a Saturday that doesn't have much competition for it. Now, all these slots, these primetime slots, Sam Bradshaw at 365 has analyzed this, all these ABC, NBC, and CBS spots are gone. The Pac-12 is not going to bump the ACC, good ACC ranked game or a Big 12 ranked game or an SEC ranked game. They're not going to do that. I mean, which is why the only window available is that Pac-12 after dark spot. And like I said, if it averages 1.5 million viewers, it can only support so much ad buy revenue. The reality is when the Big 12 came in and got, took that place, they effectively kind of basically the networks told the Pac-12, you're on your own. And I think the whole issue right now is sub-licensing. Apple TV has 75 million subscribers, but 50 million of them are off of T-Mobile 1 year free service. Okay, Apple is not going to sub-license games that would be on linear cable TV platforms, because how do they make money, Greg? Those people would be buying those things pennies on the dollar, so they're basically getting less money than what they paid for. And then the second thing, and most importantly, if fans know that the games are just going to be sub-licensed on TV, what incentive do they have to subscribe to Apple TV and buy a Pac-12 package or a Pac-12 game? I mean, the Pac-12 has made two fundamental errors. The first, they overestimated their value, and they based their value on the wrong metrics. Second of all, and more damning in my opinion, is the Pac-12 has failed to understand the value proposition for the broadcast partner. I have never seen Wilner or Canzano make that argument. What is the partner getting? Why is it worth their while? And for Apple only does this deal if it drives membership subscriptions. And the only way to do that is to basically have exclusive monopoly over the content, and sub-licensing cannibalizes that.
Okay.
I'm done. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Great call. Once again, great call. I see what you guys are saying in the chat. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Hold on. First of all, Derek. Okay.
Call from
Chris Griffin.
Chris, can you just hold for a moment?
Yes.
I got some information here. Hold on.
All right.
All right. First of all, our web, thank you so much for your super chat. Appreciate your generosity. Hot bubble of action. Absolutely. And we'll talk about it in detail when I can. I promise you. I promise all of you. The story is there. First weekend of May, we saw it coming. It happened. And then there was a shot to the solar plexus. We're finding out the results. Just stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Again, can't talk about it right now. Thank you, our web. Derek Marie, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on here at Peek Around the Corner. Thank you so very much. I'm sorry, who's on the line?
Chris Griffin?
Chris, can you just hold one more moment here?
Yes.
Now, I see what you guys are saying in the chat here. There is a special board meeting. Special board meeting. 6-1 for Arizona, correct? This is Arizona board meeting. Special board meeting, June 1st. First of all, let me know in the chat. I believe that's the U of A, University of Arizona Board of Regents special meeting, June 1st. Second of all, more importantly, or as important, when did this pop up? When did this pop up? Has this been, God, you know what? I don't think this was there because, or at least it wasn't there a week ago. Does anybody know if this meeting just popped up today or yesterday? This special board meeting? Am I, okay, well, so it's both Arizona and Arizona State on June 1st. All I can tell you is we know Arizona State is looking through the window now, finally. I'm sorry, caller. The floor is yours. I apologize, Chris.
Oh, that's okay, man. Listen,
I'm sorry.
You know,
this is.
You know that I really appreciate your show.
We don't know what's going on.
Pretty much every day.
Got it. Thank you. Go ahead. The floor is yours. We're gonna keep digging into this, but go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so it just seems to me that you hear stories about this every day, pretty much, and it's fascinating to me. You know which way this story is going to turn and all that stuff. But
yeah,
do you really think that no one wants to leave unless they absolutely have to? But you're talking about destroying a conference that has been there for a long, long time. And I'm just wondering if anyone has really, really thought about that. Have they thought about the history of this conference? The Conference of Champions, everything. I mean, it's not good if it goes away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just unfathomable. Unfathomable for me to think that could just happen, and that it would just not be there anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get it. I absolutely get it.
And it'd just be really sad. It would be really sad.
Yeah.
I just hope people are. I don't hear that a lot. And I know there's money, and you hear, and I know it's about making money, and I get all that. In this era of NIL and transfer portal, I get all that.
Yeah.
But no one really talks about the history of this conference.
You're right.
And what could happen.
107 years. 107 years in some carnation. Yeah.
I didn't know it was that long. That's insane.
Well, not how it is now, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's it, man. That's all I want
thanks.
to say.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you reminding us of that, Chris.
No problem.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right, here's the thing. And I've always had trouble reading this. It's at Arizona State Fulton Center. However,
Call from
All right.
I didn't hear who's on the line.
This is Eric.
Eric, they've had University of Arizona Board of Regents meetings at Arizona State. Like they've traded off with each other in the same room, haven't they? Am I way off on this? Grant Creech is saying he's heard that the meeting isn't about Arizona State. So it could be about yes. Who's bleeping special board? Whose board meeting is this? Special board meeting on June 1st. Somebody get us that information. I mean, is it Northern Arizona, for Pete's sake? Let us know. Let us know in the chat. Come on, this is PATC community. You guys are the brightest out there. Let us know whose special board meeting this is on June 1st. All right, caller, the floor is yours.
Hey, Greg, how's it going?
Good. Oh, this is Eric. Yes.
Doing great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
My new nickname for you, Go for Greg, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm here with my wife, Rolentry. She says hi to you, loves the show, and of course to the little general whenever she gets back as well. So
she is back. She is back. She had to cut her. She had to cut her vacation in Mexico short for a lot of different reasons. One, COVID. Two, volcano. And and there were other issues. We got her back last night. She's safe with us. So yeah, it wasn't. She got to see her family. She took care of her mother, but she's home. So thank goodness.
Good to hear, and we hope that she's okay and well and everything's all right with her. And we send our prayers and blessings to the family. So
thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet. I got a comment, and I got kind of a question and a couple comments. First comment is, I don't know if you saw it, but I actually retweeted a tweet to you that I got sent about 30 minutes ago about that Arizona Board of Regents meeting.
Okay. Did you DM me, or was it a retweet?
I just tweeted it over to you, just a retweet with your Twitter handle on it.
Got it.
And what I saw on it was an Arizona State helmet. So the tweet that I got from a gentleman I follow was in Arizona was that it was Arizona State, but it easily could be both because the Board of Regents, I believe, in Arizona govern both schools. So I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing it's Arizona or Arizona State. One question I had for you was, and I've wondered this for a while, I've been told that if a conference drops below a certain number, I don't know if that number is 8, 7, 6, 5, but I've been told if a P5 conference, or any conference for that matter, drops below a certain number, they lose their certification even if they add a bunch of new members. They can't just go out and add a bunch of whole new members. They have to keep so many original members, and if they drop below that, they lose not only their P5 certification, but their certification as a conference, and they even lose their automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Do you know if that is true?
Well, I mean, yes, but they're not going to drop below. I mean, they're just going to add some other schools on.
But my understanding is you have to keep a majority original members. In other words, let's say they lose, I'm not saying they will, but let's just say they lose Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado, Washington, and Oregon to the Big Ten, and Stanford and Cal to the Big Ten. Even if they were to add a whole bunch of new members, my understanding, you have to keep so many of your original members. Is that true?
I don't think so. I mean, who knows if they would be able to, whoever's left over at that point, who knows if they would be able to reconstitute the Pac-12, because the media companies have to buy into it. It might collapse on its own. I don't know anything about this, like original members. I mean, at this point, there's very few rare original members. I don't know anything about that, about the term original members.
Because I had heard from people, if you drop below a certain number, you can actually lose your automatic bid and certification tournament.
K-Do is saying it's 50% of the original charter members.
Yeah, that's what I believe the case is.
I've never heard that. Can you hold on 1 second? I got some information here.
Sure, I'd be happy to hold. I'm interested to hear it.
June 1st, 2023, special board meeting, 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., public session, call to order, executive conference room. That's like for 5 minutes. 8:35 to 9:20, executive session, executive conference room. 8:35 to 9:05 in that executive session is review of assignments with President Crow, which is Arizona State. And then the second half of that special board meeting is review of assignments with Executive Director Arnold. And then they go to public session 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. So I don't see, I see this being Arizona State and not Arizona.
That's what was in the tweet that was sent to me. It was Arizona State with an Arizona State helmet. That's what I got when I sent it to you. Was Arizona.
Okay. All right. You know what? Let's just keep an eye on it because we got 2 special board meetings, May 30, 31st, Colorado. We got a special board meeting, Arizona State, June 1st. We'll see if Arizona gets one here, and we'll just keep an eye on it. Go ahead. Keep going with your call, sir.
Great, thank you. Hey, and you know, a little side note before I get into my main thing that makes it intriguing too. It's been my experience that bigwig academics and bigwigs in general normally don't like to come in and work right away around a major holiday like the Memorial Day weekend. So that makes you go too a little bit.
Yes,
but, One question I have, and it's just for me, so it's just a quick question because I don't want to be BYU-centric on a national show, but me and my friend were having a little argument, and I thought if anybody could solve this, because it involves Minnesota football, Greg could solve it.
Oh, boy.
I remember when BYU was getting ready, decided that they were going to, when they got picked up to go to the Big 12, they had to dump a bunch of P5 games because, of course, all of a sudden they were going to be playing 9 conference games that they didn't schedule before. I vaguely remember one of those being a Minnesota game. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I don't think, was it dumped? I thought it was COVID related. Didn't it just get dumped because it was
I know they were scheduled at some time to play Minnesota recently. Wasn't that correct?
BYU and Minnesota were scheduled to play, but I thought it was dumped because of COVID.
It might have been COVID, but I know for a fact that we're scheduled to play a home-and-home series, right?
Yeah, I could be wrong. I one of them was dumped because of COVID, so the other one was dumped or something. I'm not. I'll look into it though. I remember one of them was a COVID game.
It had to do with BYU had all of a sudden to schedule 9 conference games, you know. But I could be. It could have been COVID, and then. The comment I had is I think you can relate to this because we're kind of from the same generation. We've been around the block in jobs and in corporate culture and stuff. And what I find funny about the Colorado guy's statement, I'll just say, I mean, whenever you're an employee or something and your boss calls you in and says, "Hey, we're proud to have you here. We really love you. You've been a great employee. But hey, IBM or AOL or whoever, we got to do what's best for us." You immediately start packing your desk because you know you're at the door. Or you're talking to your girlfriend and she says, "I really like you, Greg. Greg, you've been fun to hang around with. Greg, you're a great guy. But I got to do what's best for me." Generally, 9 times out of 10, that means, hey, I'm moving on. So I kind of think that's, if you read between the language, it's maybe not a done deal, but it's pretty close. Usually that language isn't good for the person when you say, "Hey, I really like you a lot, but I got to do what's best for me." It usually means the other person's on their way out the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you agree?
What we're seeing in the chat here that BYU and Minnesota, 220 was canceled because of COVID, and the 225 game is canceled because BYU joined the Big 12. So
that's a bummer, 'cause I would have loved to go out there and
yeah,
enjoy a hot dog and a drink with you and watch the game, Greg. Of course,
Yeah.
mine would have been a non-alcoholic drink, but it would have
Yeah.
been fun, man.
yeah.
Hey, well, y'all have a good day.
All
My
right.
wife again.
Appreciate it.
Hey, to everybody out there, it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. But I think that's pretty much, Colorado's pretty much gone. That's my prediction.
Got it. All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So we've got to figure it out. Arizona State. Is that what it is on June 1st?
Call from
Ryan Martin.
Ryan Martin is on the line. The floor is yours.
How you doing tonight, Mr. Greg?
Busy night. We're trying to figure out what the heck's going on. May 30th, 31st, special board meetings, executive session, Colorado. Now we have a June 1st special board meeting popping up at Arizona State. I would love to know when that June 1st, if that popped up today, yesterday, or was it there a couple weeks ago? I would love to know it if someone has that information.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as I think there's something going on with the Colorado meeting. I think the ASU meeting is unless like this one, we expect that the agenda items are placeholders. But with ASU, it's a review of assignments. So most likely it's going to be internal things that the board has authority to sign off on. It seems very much like it seems very much like just it's formality stuff with the Board of Regents that they'll take care of at the next full executive session, or not full executive session, at the next full board session, which I think is in the middle of June. But as far as Colorado goes, I kind of agree with Ryan Thomas as far as one of these is a placeholder. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. One of those is a placeholder because usually, at least this has been my experience in organizations as well, is if you're looking to hire somebody for a position like that, all of the interviews, all of the other stuff are done at the president's level for the institution that they're hiring for. Unless this happens to be like the treasurer for the Board of Regents, but that would at least based on how most nonprofits work and most government agencies, the Board of Regents, the treasurer for a Board of Regents is a board member. So I think that we're getting to the end of this saga. And Colorado makes the most sense to be the first to jump, if I'm going to be entirely honest.
Yeah.
Them moving to the Pac 12 years ago was a defensive move to make sure that they didn't get left out. That because there were 5 teams ready to leave the Big 12 at the time. 5 of those teams were the Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, and I think Baylor. Oh no, I'm sorry. Excuse me. It was Texas A&M because Texas A&M was flirting with both the Pac and the SEC at the time. And then Baylor was floated as a replacement when A&M announced that they were going to do the SEC when they were leaning away. That's neither here nor there. CU made the jump once without a partner. I think they're willing. They've definitely shown that they're willing to do what is necessary to protect their program, but I don't think they move without somebody in their back pocket already. I don't know if this ASU meeting is necessarily going to be the thing. I saw Jason Shearer earlier tonight say that because there have been concerns floated that ASU might actually jump Arizona and be the partner with Colorado, and that's just no.
No, the Arizona State is not. I'll just from our perspective, what we've been told, what we've been telling you all for a while, is Arizona State is not in the same phase in this process as Arizona. It just isn't.
No.
I don't know. Go ahead.
No, I think
they're nowhere close to where Arizona is in this phase. So
yeah, I would be shocked if it's not Colorado and Arizona, but it also it seemed weird to say that it wouldn't surprise me in the least either, that if it was Colorado and somebody else, that there's somebody else who's just as fed up, and then it's going to be a mad scramble for the last two spots. I don't think Utah's going to make the cut, honestly. As much as the Holy War would be amazing to have, that they're a duplicative market. We already have BYU, and when you look at things you kind of have to ignore the last 10 years, because Utah and BYU vastly different trajectories in the last 10 years because of where they were from a position perspective. BYU being independent, Utah being a part of a Power 5 conference. When you put them on the same playing field, if you look at the 20 years prior to their move in 2010, very, very similar resumes. BYU won more games in that 20-year period. Utah had a couple of BCS busting seasons, and that was their thing that kind of put them over the top, aside from all of the other reported religious issues with BYU. I think that unless a spot becomes available for them, I think Utah gets tossed in favor of ASU. I think that Brett Yormark is also looking back to the East, and I think at this point in time, San Diego State is not. I don't think they're a target for the Big 12 either. I think the NIL bill that's going through the California legislature has got people spooked. Because if they're going to require all of their schools to pay their athletes like they're employees ahead of the rest of the country, that I don't think the Big 12 is going to want anything to do with that up front. That's going to cause a whole bunch of problems and a whole bunch of headaches real quickly. So I think for that reason, I think SDSU is out, and that's why I think there's been kind of a pivot back towards the East in UConn. So I think, but I legitimately, I think once Colorado announces, the dominoes are going to fall real quick, man.
Yeah.
Really, really quick.
I agree.
So
I agree.
That's all I got for you tonight.
Thanks so
man.
much for the call. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Sorry. I had one more thing that I thought of, and this is in response to Chris. It's about thinking about the pack. I know people are, woe is me, we have to mourn the death of the pack. As you said before, the pack has existed in some form or another for 107 years. That brand is going to carry forward. They're going to merge with the Mountain West, keep the pack name, whatever happens, the pack is going to be kept alive by Cal, Oregon State, and Washington State, whoever ends up getting left behind. But the real people who killed the Conference of Champions, it's not going to be the Big 12. It's not going to be Colorado or Arizona. It's USC and UCLA. Stanford, USC, and UCLA accounted for what, like a combined 250 national championships between the two of them. They are the ones that gave the Pac the name Conference of Champions. Two of them scooted to the Big Ten as soon as it was readily available. They are the ones who killed the Pac. They are the ones who killed the Conference of Champions. If you're looking for somebody to blame for the death of the Pac, look no further than those two schools right there. And that's all I got to say for
Got it. Thank you, sir. Great call.
Thank you. Thank you.
Call from
Following Zubies.
to accept, press 1.
Okay, Western Civic, can you hold a moment?
Yes.
Okay, couple of items. One is Mr. Monkey says June 1st is also the only meeting on the Arizona Regents calendar for the whole year named special board meeting, for what it's worth. Thanks for bringing that up, Mr. Monkey says. It's just, it's just very odd that June 1st is the day that we've been discussing here at Peek Around the Corner. We've got some steam on it, and there's a special board meeting now on June 1st at Arizona State. There's a special board meeting, Colorado, May 30th and May 31st. And yes, I know what the agendas are on those two meetings. We knew it when we came live. They happen to be exactly the same, which is very unusual. And a special board meeting, special session, is something that we were looking to see if Colorado actually did before June 1st, and suddenly they pop up. Also, I got a tweet here from a link to a message board. What is this called? CESNBBS. Thanks, who all those on that message board are watching. Someone was laughing because on that message board they're saying that I'm not giving up the information about what we know in May and all this stuff. Look, I can't, but I will, no matter how this goes, and you're going to get the information real quick, real fast, mucho details, ladies and gentlemen, and that's something special happened in the first weekend of May, and something happened a couple days ago. And they were very important events. And when the story is written by some national college football reporters, they're going to point out the first weekend in May and a couple days ago. So I'm telling you that as clear as I possibly can say. I can't be any more clear. I mean, I can't tell you what happened because we're protecting people here, ladies and gentlemen. I do not want to become the story. We're going to let this thing play out. I've been telling you that Colorado's in the middle of the stage. There's no other way I can say it other than put it in a theater so you guys can I'm giving you the peek around the corner, giving you the best days we can give you, what's happening. And I can't give it up. I don't take myself very serious, but we take what we do here very serious. We're definitely going to protect the people we need to protect. Hang with us. First weekend in May, and a special event that happened a couple of days ago. And when this sucker goes either way, we're going to be able to give you the details like nobody else can give you. Just like what happened with USC when we were given the details throughout that whole process, we're going to be able to go back and tell you real quick. That'll be the first thing I talk about. When this story breaks, Colorado, no matter which way it goes, we're going to tell you what happened on those days. And why we've been telling you what we've been telling you in the theater and everything else that we've been giving you the peek around the corner. Okay, the caller, who's on the line?
Western Civic, man.
Go ahead, the floor is yours, sir.
Happy Memorial Day weekend, Greg. How you
you
doing?
too, sir. You too. Appreciate it.
Our anthropomorphic golden gopher incarnate.
That's
Thanks
right.
for being there.
Golden
Yes.
Gophers, baby.
So, hey, before I get into, I got my three things as usual here. You got any questions for me, Greg, about anywhere I got any or how any of that worked, or you got any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, before I even get started, I want to make a shout. I'm a Western guy, right? What do I know about? Most things east of the Rockies escape my attention.
Yeah.
But NC State. Wow, what's going on over there with that athletic program? Because they are just kicking some. What do we know? All I know about NC State is like Jim Valvano, and I thought y'all were like green. Weren't they a green team once? Anyway, they're red. Their colors are red. And they blew my brackets because when I was told it was North versus South, I figured they would take the AAU school with Duke. And we could also, if you want to, Greg, that's not on my list tonight, but we can get into the proof about why the Magnificent Seven are in fact the SEC Seven. That's part of the proof one has to do to reach the conclusions that I did. SC State or NC State, North Carolina State. I was at the NCAA Championships track and field in Albuquerque earlier this year, and they have this woman named Tui. I think it's Caitlin Tui. I don't know if you've heard about this woman. How Oregon missed her is unbelievable. She's breaking all kinds of records. An amazing athlete, talked about how she would be a great soccer player, all this stuff. So whatever's going on at NC State, congratulations. I expect they will be in the SEC in short order. And then the other thing I want to say is I like to listen to when, ADs speak, when chancellors speak, when presidents speak. That's where the good information is.
Yeah.
If you listen, it's funny though, Greg. I mean, I missed the first 45 minutes of this live stream, but I saw your other two shorter ones you did today.
Yeah.
And, when you're looking at it with us, I still think y'all got some BLD confirmation bias because of the other things he said. But you know what else? He gets it. This AD, he knows he's in the entertainment business. So to continue the debate.
Come on. Yeah, okay.
No, seriously. Absolutely. Look, it's been my theory, and I've been telling you, this is generally a done deal. I mean, whether they're going to pull the trigger on it or not is not, I guess, been officially decided. But the plan is generally in place. And so, and I tell you, one of the genius parts of this plan is milking the intrigue. So no press is bad press, right?
Yeah.
Talking about Arizona is a good thing. Talking about Colorado is a great thing. So anyway, but one of the things, one of the guys we heard speak, is Schultz from Washington State. You covered that, right,
Yeah.
Greg?
Yes. Yeah.
And that was a really interesting thing to listen to. And, I thought there was one place where he misspoke, and he did it, I think, for his clientele, for the Wazoo faithful. But he spoke for Oregon, and he said Oregon doesn't want to go someplace where they're going to have to compete. That total nonsense argument that you call out everywhere you see it, Greg.
Yeah,
One where, they don't want to go there because it's tougher. Yeah, that's a complete nonsense argument.
Yeah.
And that's one that Schultz used. And anyway, speaking of Schultz, look, my position hasn't changed. I'm taking all bets on Colorado. Look, for Colorado to go to the third conference would be to surrender at this point. They have a natty. How many schools can you point to have an actual natty in their pocket?
I'm gonna tell you something. Western Civic.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You don't believe there's any chance for Colorado to go to the Big 12, correct? I'm gonna tell you something. What?
I mean, I guess I'd give it maybe a 1.5%.
Okay, 1.5% chance. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Colorado hasn't made that decision yet that I know of. They might do a swerve and not go to the Big 12. Pac-12 might pull a rabbit out of the hat. However, 1.5% chance, Colorado, the Chancellor, the Board of Regents, the donors are spending a whole lot of time in the month of May. Just the month of May. They're spending a whole lot of time potentially doing something in which you say they only got a 1.5% chance. I understand.
Yes,
I understand the details aren't out there yet, but buckle up, brace for impact. They're doing
Now let me get to the one thing I want to do, Greg, and I'll get off the air with. This is the most important thing I wanted to say tonight. Look, we're just going to disagree on that. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
And,
sure.
And again, I'm taking all bets on that. Please get a hold of me. I've got money to cover it. To me, this is free money, so please give me a call.
Go ahead.
Okay, so look, what I want to do, if anybody who has any power out there ever listens to this video, please, look, we figured it out. You've left enough crumbs. You've been able to, take the givens and figure out what you all are doing. We see the two big 25-team conferences. We see, Notre Dame staying independent and the importance of that. We see the critical importance of the third conference. And this is what I want. Look, I know I've been giving people a lot of crap calling it the Lubbock and whatever. But that's because that's just, you don't understand. That PAC schools are not going to go there. It's a mentality thing, call it whatever. It's just they're not going to go there. It's a mentality thing, call it whatever it is. But I don't want people to misunderstand at the end of the day, because I am not for, I think this is going to be cool with 3 conferences.
Okay.
I am not for 2 conferences breaking off on their own. This third conference is critical, and so I want to plead to whoever's out there, pull the trigger. And you know how you pull the trigger, how you solve the ACC. We don't need a media deal on the West Coast. We need to get out of the media deal on the East Coast. Let's do this. Don't make us pull. Don't make us create all these conferences. It's going to be hard enough, all this.
Beautiful. Thanks for the call, Western Civic.
Okay, what was the last thing? That was
your last thing. Appreciate it.
It was my last thing, but I just had a final thought or final sentence on it. Well, so anyway, pull the trigger.
Pull the trigger.
The third conference, yes. Relegation. They must have an automatic bid.
Yes.
We're
pulling the trigger. Beautiful. Thank you. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what that was. Who's on the line?
Jeff Fuller.
Jeff is on the line. Oh, Jeff Fuller's on the line. Can you hold 1 second, please? I apologize.
Of course, Greg.
Okay,
yes,
I just got to get to some. John Teal, thank you so much for your $2 super chat. I appreciate it. Is Boise State even going to get a tryout? I haven't gotten any steam from Boise State in this whole process, but thank you, John, for your generosity. Opie, thank you. If the PAC doesn't think Colorado will lead by itself, they forget that they came to the PAC by themselves from the Big 12. I know Utah came with them, but not from the Big 12. Absolutely correct, Opie. Thank you so much for your incredible generosity once again to this channel, helping us keep the lights on. Thank you so much, Opie. Appreciate it. Jeff Fuller, thank you for your patience. The floor is yours. I bet you called me to tell me how crazy I am for even bringing up the point that Colorado has a May 30th, 31st meeting. They have, both those days have an agenda, and it has nothing to do with realignment out in the open.
I know, it's just complete coincidence, right? and I want to give you kudos. I mean, you've been sort of reading the tea leaves. You obviously are hearing a lot more than any of us will ever know. But we do appreciate you giving us sort of the playbook, sort of knowing what to expect. And, you have a lot of detractors out there. We won't spend any time on them, but I think time has proven you right. People
who are really in the know. Wasn't it Andy Staples who was giving you kudos about?
That was very kind of him.
Yeah. That was a couple months ago, and he seems to think you know a thing or two. Boy, Western Civic, did he just spend about 5 minutes trying to talk up NC State to the SEC?
Yeah, I don't. He's got a theory. He's got a theory that all 7 of the schools are going to go to the SEC, and all these Pac schools are going to go to the Big Ten.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of acid induced theories. So I mean, he can think what he wants to think. Very entertaining caller. Very well spoken and fun and funny. But boy, just out there on a lot of this stuff. I mean, it's just amazing to watch. Now, from what I'm understanding with you, it doesn't appear that ASU and Arizona would be a package deal. Apparently, Arizona is much more desirous, and it seems like the fan bases of both Arizona and Colorado are well bought into this idea. I heard an interview today on a different podcast where they were interviewing the Locked On Buffs, one of their beat writers or one of their people who just follow and podcast for them. And he said that pretty much all the fans, he said at least most of them, definitely want to go to the Big 12. And part of that's because of the uncertainty and then just dragging on. But and you sort of get that vibe from a lot of the Arizona fans. They're very basketball centric, so you understand that. Yeah. I think Dion wants to get back to Texas, and he's got all those Dallas roots playing for the Cowboys for so long. But I mean, I really think that of the four corners, ASU is the gem. If you're talking about media value, if you're talking about alumni enrollment, I really love to dig into all these value and brand value, and I'm obviously no expert in it, but I do spend a lot of time sort of digging into the numbers. And ASU, I think, is the biggest value add. I mean, aside from Oregon, which is by far the biggest brand and most media value, I think ASU, might rival, Washington and Stanford in media value. And I think they really surpass, anyone else who's left in the four corners of the remaining Pac schools. And I really hope that they do come as a package deal. I don't know if one would have to lead and they bring the other along.
Well, when you say package deal, Dave Hickey had an interview a couple of days ago. Did you watch that with Phoenix Sports?
That's Arizona AD.
Yeah, is
that the one that was published in the paper that was taken from quotes?
I don't. It was a YouTube channel. I saw the interview.
I did.
One part of that interview that was really interesting is he was pretty aggressive in insinuating, in my opinion, and other people that I talked to afterwards, that he basically said we sort of are a package deal. He said we would have to talk with Arizona State if we want, what I'm saying is.
Arizona is like the flagship, right? It's the flagship university. They're the AAU school.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, why Arizona is on the stage for Act 11, and why Arizona State finally has gotten up to out the door. They're not inside the building, but they're looking through the window. Is Arizona in the relationships that Arizona has with the Big 12 versus what Arizona State has with the Big 12 is remarkably different. And and the gap has grown here in the last few months. I mean, where they are in the process. Now, okay, let's just pretend here, okay, Jeff?
Has the money perch gone silent?
No, he hasn't. It's just that he hasn't. I mean, I could sit here and read angry emails to you guys every show, but it doesn't really.
Doesn't advance the story.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting this information that Arizona State is not on the same. They're not in the stage. They're not in the building. We're getting that from the Arizona State money perch. But if Colorado, let's say they pulled the trigger, they joined the Big 12. Arizona did as well. Arizona then followed up. Arizona State would probably be climbing the walls to get into the Big 12. So we're not saying that, but they're not where Arizona is. From everything that we've been told from people who've been right about this from the get-go, Arizona State is not in the same... They're behind Arizona in this situation.
And yeah, I wonder if one reason for that, apparently President Crow, the ASU president who's been there forever, he was one of the original ones who brought in Larry Scott and then George Kliakoff, and apparently he was one who really led the charge to keep Larry Scott, even when things were coming into question, and doubled down on him. And I wonder if, for optics reason, I think a lot of people in the pack sort of hold him, of all the presidents that are currently there, the most responsible for Larry Scott and all the financial decisions and debacles that happened. I wonder if the optics of, oh boy, they're just ready to leave us all alone and in the lurch, if he really can't be out front and looking to be eager, if it looks like, he needs to be dragged along by Arizona and out of the pack, and not them sort of leading the way out. Do you think that maybe has something to do with it?
Yes. Yeah, probably. I want to say something.
Tell us.
No, from what we've been told, there's just you hit upon it. There's a different relationship between the Big 12 and Arizona and the Big 12 and Arizona State right now. Okay, that's all that I'm going to go on with it right now. But
sure.
Look, we're not, Colorado goes in, Arizona State goes in. Colorado goes in, Arizona goes in. Arizona State is the next school everyone's looking at, and we'll see what happens then. But Colorado's on the middle of the stage. We've been saying this for weeks, right?
Yeah.
Arizona's not with them. Arizona's not with them in the middle of the stage. Yeah. They're getting closer. And now Arizona State is looking through the front door of the foyer. I have to put it in those terms so I can give as much information as I can without,
burning your sources.
Yes.
And we appreciate it. And Andrew Marchand, he over a month ago, he said, watch Colorado. Others have been saying it, and people know this is pretty far along, and I don't know if this is just watching a slow process happen. And again, everyone knows what's going to happen.
And again, here's an example. Can't give the details on it, but we said right away that day or the next day, Dennis Dodd's report was absolutely correct. We said it the very next day. When Dennis Dodd said that, that he was told that ESPN said to the Big 12, it was in Dennis Dodd's report, that ESPN was only going to be with three conferences, ACC, Big 12, and SEC. And there's other reports that came out there that said, no, ESPN is still talking with the Pac-12. Yeah, they're talking, but I'm telling you, Andrew Marchand's report, there's ESPN is speaking. They're speaking to everybody really loudly right now. Extremely loud. ESPN is talking. Didn't people just see the report? We did an episode on it. ESPN is not, they're playing hardball with the SEC. They're not paying more for Texas and Oklahoma. They're paying pro rata for Texas and Oklahoma. They didn't bump up the pay of the other SEC schools when they included Oklahoma and Texas. They're not even willing at this point to pay more money to the SEC for a ninth conference game. Do you all think that ESPN is going to walk into George Kliakoff's office and say, okay, we'll give you a deal, $30 million per school, Pac-12, it's done. It's not happening. Yeah. And you know what, Jeff? And you know this, Jeff. I know you know this. But for everybody, this has been known for months. For months that the Pac-12 absolutely got lowballed. Even in regards to their current valuation, they got lowballed. ESPN and Fox spoke to us. some of us weren't listening. They lowballed the Pac-12. They don't want a Pacific Coast Conference anymore. They'd rather have those schools go somewhere else. The only way they can say it is they lowballed the Pac-12 conference. They did.
Yeah, it really seems that all the media partners they're really valuing these cross-regional matchups, that they bring a lot more value. Like a small example, that BYU versus Baylor game was the highest viewed. It was the highest viewed.
Yes.
ESPN game after 10 o'clock Eastern kickoff in I think it was like 8 or 9 years. Just those two different regions getting together, and those aren't the biggest brands in the world. I'm a BYU fan, and we're a big brand, and Baylor's had some high times, and they got a great fan base. But that's not like two massive brands. It's not like Oregon and Texas playing each other. This is just on ESPN, and they pushed 2.3 million.
Big 12
after. Yep. So it seems like the Big 12, the sum of the parts is greater than the individual pieces, and the Pac is sort of the opposite. But part of that's because there's a lack of commitment, the grant of rights. Everyone knows it's just, even if they get a deal, it's just for 3 to 5 years, and then people are off on their merry way or somewhere else. And so the commitment in the Big 10, Big 12, and just the media value of these brands that are growing, these programs on the upswing. It's just interesting to see. And ESPN, they're just not going to pay any more than they paid the Big 12, and apparently it's probably 60% less, 40% less than what they're willing to pay. Big 12.
So these reporters are being told this, okay? They're being told this. Sources are telling them this. I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to be very general. I'm going to be very general here. Media companies, they leak, okay? They just do. So
they've got an agenda. Their businesses, they gotta make their money. They gotta.
So these reporters,
it's a business.
So these reporters are reporting this stuff, and of course, some people think they're doing this because they're part of some endeavor plot, or they have a dog in the fight. Andrew Michon and John Orion did it again in their sports media podcast. Both of them said, we don't have a dog in the fight. They want to make sure they'd be great if the Pac-12 got a deal and they could all stay together. I think it would be a fascinating story. I'm okay with it. I got no problem with it. But you know what? You get all this information coming to you from people that you trust over and over and over again. And then you know what happens? Week after week after week, month after month after month, the evidence that's being played out in front of us supports the reporting that's being done on the story. So these reporters were not a bunch of crackpots. These reporters weren't part of some endeavor plot. These reporters weren't part of some PR public stunt. That wasn't the truth. That wasn't the story.
Yeah, and that never really passed the smell test with me and with many others, just because, the people are saying, oh, listen to people who are in the room, listen to the presidents, the ADs. It's like, no, I don't think so. They have a very, very vested interest. They are going to say what they need to say to survive, to make them look the best. If anyone's going to leak information that's, deceiving or partially untrue, it's going to be them, because they might not exist. If you're going to ask me to believe the reporters and the media people, or to believe what's leaking, out of, from ADs and from university presidents, I'm going to take, the professionals in the media company and from the reporters, the sports reporters, over what's leaking from the quote unquote people in the room that people say are the only people that should be listened to. So, yeah, I really appreciate what you do, and you've got a loyal follower here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Great call.
Yes, sir. Great job.
Thank you. Yes. Greg Pflugar, Big 12 hack. So far from it.
Call from
Soap from a
Soap, thanks for calling. Appreciate it. Can you hold on one moment?
absolutely.
Yeah, I saw on my Twitter, Greg Pflugar, Big 12 hack. I know I did not have a YouTube channel for the last 10 years, but anybody who was following me on Flug Empire from 2014 to 2021, nobody was harder on the Big 12 than myself. So I know there's Big 12 fans in the chat who have been following me, who are shaking their, who are nodding their head, yes, yes, yes. Greg was incredibly tough on the Big 12. And quite honestly, I think the Big 12, the way it was structured and everything, I think we were correct. But anyways, I'm not a Big 12 hack. I'm not a Big 10 hack. I'm not even a Gopher hack. I got them going 6-6 this year. And all the Gopher fans are mad at me. Go ahead, Soap. The floor is yours, sir.
Howdy to you, Greg, and everybody in PATC Nation.
Yes.
Now, I know I might have my tinfoil hat on here.
Go ahead. Put it on.
I believe, if I saw correctly, there is a difference between the two schedules that you showed for the meetings in
really?
In Colorado.
Okay, I'm going to put it up on the screen here.
The first meeting on Monday starts at 9 o'clock.
Yes,
the
sir.
Meeting on Tuesday.
Yes.
The Tuesday meeting starts at 9 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
The Wednesday meeting starts at 8. Yeah, there it is. I'm looking at it on Tuesday.
Got it. You're right. You're correct.
The Tuesday meeting's at 9. The Wednesday meeting's at 8.
Correct.
Now, I know that's not a big deal, but I've been involved with organizations that if you have a 9 o'clock meeting, that's pretty much an all-day type meeting, you know?
Yeah.
Something that you're going to work through. An 8 o'clock meeting, typically, and I'm just saying, you know, it might not be anything. Once again, I'll say I got my my tinfoil hat on here, but an 8 o'clock meeting seems to be like a morning meeting where you have something specific that you're going to get done, get it out of the way, and then the rest of the day you can plan whatever else you have going on. So what I'm saying is that it just looks to me like Monday is Tuesday is an all-day meeting,
yes,
and Wednesday is a Wednesday morning meeting. And as you and I spoke about in the past, Greg, if and when this comes down that they announce it, they're going to need 3 days to do this. One day will be the announcement day. The second day will give them time for the media to report it. And then the third day is when they will spin it. So possibly we could be looking at a situation where on Tuesday they meet all day, and let's say they leak something saying that they're going to have a vote on Wednesday morning with the executive session on whether they're going to leave or not. And then Wednesday they come out and say, we had a vote, and we're going to recommend in an open meeting that we have a public session, the vote to go to the Big 12. That would be the day that they announce it, give them 24 hours to report it in all the news, and then they'll start spinning it on Friday. And here's the spin that I think is going to be, you know, once again, these are all guesses, Greg, but I would not be surprised to hear Colorado say something to the effect of why they decided to go now. The response would be, well, we could guarantee ourselves a full membership with full, financial benefits as opposed to portion benefits. That would send a red flag to all the other schools, the Arizona schools and the Utah and whoever else is interested, that if they're going to get a full membership, a full percentage membership in the Big 12, they better move quickly, because maybe those spots, you know, all they have to say is we did what was best for the school by guaranteeing ourselves a full membership.
Okay, hold on one second.
Sure.
The Tuesday meeting, there is a place where, okay, this is interesting to me. I can't show it up on the screen, But it does give, okay, so I was watching the, for reasons I can't get into right now, but I will get into them. I was watching the May 24th meeting very carefully. I was watching that day very, very carefully. And when they had the meeting, they give a pretty detailed line of what is going on in the agenda. Okay, there's a spot there. So far, for the Tuesday meeting that starts at 9 in the morning, it says 9 in the morning, Tuesday, action item, executive session for Regents. Adjournment is 11 a.m. So they only have it as a 2-hour meeting right now for Tuesday. Okay? For the Wednesday meeting, they have it from 8 to 12:30. And when I can get it up here on my phone, come on. What's going on here? They got 8 o'clock, action item, executive session for Regents, 12:30 p.m. adjournment. They have no details at all. Now, this is an executive session, so it's behind closed doors. It isn't like what happened on May 24th. So that's what so it's a 2-hour meeting and a 4.5-hour meeting. Wow. That's pretty interesting.
That is.
Yeah.
I need to process that.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I
that's
think
6.5.
Wednesday, though. I think Wednesday, though, if they're going to, I'm going to stand behind my statement, Greg, that they're going to need 3 days to roll this thing out. They don't want to dump it on a Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock and let everybody run wild with it. They want to control the spin on this with their donors, with their fans. They want to make sure that that this thing goes over smoothly. One last thing, Greg. I watched the demise of the Southwest Conference, and I can empathize with my friends at the Pac-12 or Pac-10. The conference is nostalgic, no doubt about it. However, the teams remain and the rivalries remain. So although the league might be gone, the football's still there and the intensity is still there. And I would just remind everyone that the Pac-12 was offered the exact same deal that the Big 12 took. They turned it down. If they had chosen to take that deal, they would not be in the situation they are in right now. They chose not to take the deal that the Big 12 decided to take. It wasn't jumping in line. They had a shot at it first. They didn't take it. All right.
All right.
Have a great weekend. And may I just add quite quickly, thank you to all of those who served our country, and God bless those that are wearing the uniform now. And our thoughts will be with all of them over the holiday.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
Greg. Have a good one, buddy.
Appreciate it. Great call. Okay, so I'm sorry. Something smells here. Something ain't right here, folks. You have 2 special sessions. Lewis is on the phone. Great. Fantastic. Lewis, thank you so much for calling. I need you right now to explain to me what the heck is going on. But first, let me set the table for you, okay?
Sure.
I mean, we have 2 special executive meetings at Colorado. May 30th, May 31st. May 30th, they both have the same agenda. Something about search for a new treasurer or whatever.
Yeah, the treasurer, yes.
Yeah, and the first meeting lasts 2 hours on a Tuesday. 2 hours. And then they're going to come back on a Wednesday and have the same agenda that lasts 4.5 hours? Come on. Come on.
Well, the Wednesday agenda, it won't be out until Tuesday afternoon. I think they have to give the details about a day before.
That's what's been happening.
Remember, that happened the last time.
Yes.
That happened the last time. They had the agenda without the details, and the details came out was about the Pac-12.
Yes, sir.
And so, but I wouldn't. Here's the issue: by the time it gets there, the story is going to likely be leaked, and so I wouldn't put too much into it. I mean, there has to be a meeting.
It has to be posted.
Even if this is not the case, I mean, I would just, even if it's not the case, it's clear a couple things. I've missed some of your shows because I obviously work for a living, and this is a very busy week. Everybody wants things done before the holiday. But I will say this, Barry Trammell, when that article came out, that's when I was convinced it's happening. The reason being, I followed Barry's columns when West Virginia was looking to join the Big 12 in 2010, 2011. The guy's not a BSer.
Yeah.
He's a credible journalist. And the other thing I picked up on that was telling was he got this information from the Big 12 source last week. He didn't go out and immediately report it. He reported it. He went out and followed the news. We had Andrew Marchand on Monday saying that Pac-12 and the ESPN are pretty much done. And then, so that news was a factor. And then we had additional news on Tuesday. And he waited until the news cycles happened, and it looked like things were truly falling apart before he went and reported it. And so that, to me, indicated that, yes, this is genuinely happening. And I forget what the news story was on Tuesday, but there was a news story that happened. He cited this column. It's been a long week. But he waited. And so I felt like he not only got the tip, but he waited for the information.
Yeah.
The only reservation I have, though, is would they leave before Washington and Oregon? And if Washington and Oregon are not going to the Big Ten, are they going to stay in the Pac-12 with whatever deal they have? That's the only concern I have about this. But the inflections and the basis of the comments now from the players, such as the athletic director at Colorado, it's so much different than it was 6 weeks ago. There's no credible report of any media deal, and so I do believe this is now happening, barring something very unexpected. The only question I have is whether the Big Ten is really going to go and take Washington and Oregon, or if Washington and Oregon are going to stay in the Pac-12 and they'll make some league go, or Washington and Oregon get a huge outsized revenue share so they can be at around $30 million, and everybody else takes a small chunk of change. That's the only question I think that's out there. It appears that at least Arizona and Colorado are going to the Big 12. I certainly, having seen the Big East demise, I hate to see it happen, but the Big East had almost the exact same script. Maybe it wasn't quite tortured. The Big East in 2010 turned down the deal, and you had the president of Pitt was one of the ones saying no, turned down the ESPN deal, and then a year later the conference fell apart. And so many similarities. The Pac-12, president of USC, when the Pac-12 had a chance to kill the Big 12 in 2021, they could have done it, and they'd be alive now. The Big 12 would be dead. President of USC, on her way out, said, we don't do it. Then the Pac-12 turned down a media deal that could have kept the conference in line with lower money but intact. They turned it down, and now we're seeing the same thing.
Okay.
So this has all happened before, and that's where I believe we're going to just too many tea leaves. It, again, would take the Houdini of all Houdinis for the Pac-12 to save itself, and that's where I think we are.
Lewis, there's one thing that really caught my attention, and most people are going to be saying, Greg, you're a little nuts. But when that Barry Trammell, when he came out with that report, the first day, okay, it was just a little section in an article. He's saying a source told him that the Big 12, something about ready to commit soon, right?
Yes.
The next day, Lewis, ladies and gentlemen, Trammell said he told us the source of who told him. The next day, he added to the article and said the source was a Big 12 coach. Here's my take on it. I don't know if it was a Big 12 coach or not who told him that. I don't have no idea. I don't. But he added that information into the second time he wrote it. He did reveal that the first time he wrote it. He revealed it the second time he wrote it. That tells me he got a whole lot of phone calls. He got a whole lot of steam coming to him. Who told you that? Who told you that? Was it this person? Was it that? Who, from the Pac-12 and the Big 12, he's a long-time writer, the Oklahoman, right? And then he felt like he had to say where he wanted to have. Why did he say it was from a Big 12 coach the second day? Why did he say it?
Well, because they wanted to, the Big 12 offices didn't want to think there were loose lips in the Yormark inner circle.
Something like that. But to me, it felt even more concrete, like what you're saying, Lewis. Like, yes.
I followed multiple realignments.
Yeah.
To me, that was when I was convinced. I don't know when it's happening. I don't know if it's next week. That's why I'm not getting too worked up over the Board of Regents, because it might not be next week, but it is inevitably happening. The Pac-12 can't get a deal, and the Oregon and Washington are eventually going to the Big Ten. And so it's not what they want, but it's happening. It's been going on. I mean, when Rick George slammed down MHVER3, that was telling. Like, why would you give credence to anonymous Twitter if not to the fact that there was – so now, maybe it wasn't accurate, but obviously they were talking about leaving the conference in April. They were at least talking about a plan B.
Yeah.
And so why would an AD jump in and do that? So this has been going on. It's just been long and tortured and hoping for a miracle. But the issue is ESPN, they'll pay for Pat McAfee, but as you said, they're not paying the SEC. They're not willing to shell out money to the ACC. So the ACC is now having to redivide the pie they have amongst themselves. And that's going to long-term fail, by the way, because the Big East did the same thing 25 years ago, and where's the Big East now? I mean, eventually the ACC's gone. It's just going to take a few years. And we're just going to have more consolidation. But I think with Jamie Pollard, the Pac-12 is stronger than ever. I think that's the case. The Big 12 is stronger than ever. Yeah. It doesn't mean the Big 12 is going to be the SEC. They're not going to be the Big 10. Yeah. But on a given day, they can compete with those teams, and they can win. We saw TCU beat Michigan. So it can happen, and that's about as good as you can do when you're those schools. And I'm happy for that because I look back, the Pac-12 had the Big 12 available for the killing. They could have taken 4 teams from the Big 12, or 6 teams even, in 2021, and old West Virginia would probably end up back in the American Athletic Conference. They could have done that.
Yeah.
They didn't do it. They didn't go for the kill when they had the chance. Now they're getting killed. I hate to see it, but that's likely what's going to happen. That's why you have to strike when you can. And Kliavkoff has been completely inept. They made poor decisions in that conference. Had they had better decisions, they'd still be in existence and probably have gobbled up the Big 12. But that's where we are, and the Big 12 will have a long future. It'll be the third league. It's not going to be first or second, but it will have a lot of good teams, a lot of good rivalries, and will be a decent conference as long as Brett Yormark stays in control and continues to find ways to monetize the assets elsewhere. So that's where I think we are. It's finally happening, but I did think we'd have a quiet weekend, and then some people had to go and shoot their gums out on a Friday afternoon before Memorial Day when we're all ready to go have picnics and go to the beach. So thanks a lot for that. I didn't think we'd be having a show tonight. I thought it'd be on Tuesday, but I think that's where we're headed. And so great show, Greg, and I appreciate it, and have a great evening. Have a great Memorial Day.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to all those that have family, let's remember those who died so we can really talk about college football. All right, thank you.
And of course, everybody in the Pac-12 is looking at what Colorado's going to do, but it's not just the schools in the Pac-12. It's UConn, it's San Diego State, UNLV, a little bit of steam. We'll talk about that in the next show.
Call from
How to fix the ACC problem.
How to fix the what problem, ACC?
Yes, sir. Forgive the double dip, but I think it's worth it on this one. Okay, let me just get right to it. Look, another reason to hate me out there, I was burdened with a legal education as well. The way, I obviously haven't seen the ACC contract like almost no one has, but the way you solve any contractual problem is for everybody to come together and sign a new contract that says we all agree to hold each other harmless pursuant to the previous contract. And so in order to do that, everybody has to be happy. So this is, again, what I really wanted to emphasize about why it's so important that the third conference be strong. And what needs to be happening right now, if you're not on that too big conference list, you need to be making those smaller conferences. And we see one of those in the Northeast, for example. Or the parts of the ACC that are not going to go to the big and are not going to go to the SEC. They need to be made very, very happy. They need to be, those are the schools that need to be having meetings with your mark about how they're going to be treated and how the Big 12 is just going to be great. Look, and in the future, I expect this third conference, the football experience for the players should be almost identical to any other two conferences. Yes, universities have some differences, but that's not an undergraduate issue. That's a graduate thing. That's for graduate students and stuff. So I really expect this. Look, you're never going to lose the passion behind Kansas State and Oklahoma State and Texas Tech and these people. This isn't the cyclone. It's never going away. And I'll be the first one in line to fight to make sure that never goes away. We got to guarantee the third conference an automatic bid no matter what. And I'll tell you what, relegation is going to be cool. And let me just say this. You listen to Klatt lately. He talks about how some of you big schools, some of you people reside, hey, I don't know about Golden Gophers or Illinois or Northwestern or Vanderbilt. You know what? The third conference is going to have a way to get up into the first two conferences too. We were talking about this with some friends. How about an issue a challenge? Pitt, who could add value? Obviously, Pitt adds value to the Big 12, but you know what else? Pitt could actually add value to the SEC. What if when the program gets going, Pitt says, you know what, we challenge Vanderbilt. And then you get a home and home, and after 2 or 3 years, if you get a home and home and you sweep them, then maybe there's something and you go, I don't know, it triggers something. Dudes, this could be awesome, is what I'm saying. Now, y'all pull the trigger, make sure everybody in the ACC is happy, make sure ESPN is happy, and let's get it on. ND has got to stay independent. Notre Dame's independent is more important than just for Notre Dame itself. That doesn't mean they get any special privileges when it comes to the playoffs or anything like that. But they provide a channel to make sure everybody's included. This is college football. This is not the NFL.
That's right.
We got 100-something teams. And thank you, Mr. Flugar. I'm gone. No
Beautiful.
War.
No war.
No war.
Beautiful. All right.
Call from
Steve.
Steve is on the line. Is this Mr. Bearcat?
Yeah, how you doing, Greg?
Good. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, other than you keep me up real late here in the Eastern time zone. I'm not happy about it. But anyhow, one thing that I want to bring up that you brought up earlier about Colorado having to watch their back somewhat. I think there's strength in numbers. And if, use your analogy, Arizona could be standing right there hand in hand with them pretty soon. They could. And they could both at the same time. And don't think Brett Yormark wouldn't relish that day if he had both of them on the same stage and he's standing in the middle.
Yeah.
Publicity, whether it be viewed negative or positive, is a good thing. And I don't see Colorado. I see Colorado going. I just think Arizona's going to be right beside it before it's over. I just when this all plays out, I mentioned in the past about backroom secret meetings. Believe me, there's probably been plenty of them between the Pac-12 institutions within themselves. There's probably a lot of conversations that none of us are privy to, and we'll probably never be privy to. And when this all plays out, we may have some surprises.
Yeah,
we really might have some surprises.
One of the things we haven't talked about is, let's say this does go down, and let's say it's Colorado, and let's say it's Arizona the next day or the next day after that, or let's say they go in together. I don't think Colorado's decision is contingent on what Arizona's thinking. However, Yormark is a marketing guy, right? Yep. So this isn't going to be I don't think it's going to be your just a thing on Twitter, a tweet, a conference announcement. I mean, look how UCLA and USC was treated. There was a tweet, there was a Big Ten confirmed it 16 hours later, whatever. They still haven't had any press conferences yet, which is okay because both schools are part of the Pac-12, so I understand that. But Yormark's going to have some sort of marketing where he really drives, let's say it's just Colorado, Steve, where he really drives home Colorado is now with the Big 12. Like, there's going to be some event that Yormark's going to have cooked up.
Yep, that would be the word I would use, Greg, is event. He is a marketing genius thus far, and I think he's proved it in the past. And I really think, moving forward, he's going to take every opportunity he could take to get this done. Unfortunately for the Pac, I've discussed in the past with you, I have too many fond memories of the Pac, but nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
And I was a Cincinnati fan, and I sat there and watched Cincinnati have great success in the Big East. Not great success, but very good success in the Big East. Go to an Orange Bowl and a Sugar Bowl, and then it was time for everybody to leave. I watched Boston College and Syracuse and Louisville get a seat at the table before Cincinnati did.
Yeah.
So as a Cincinnati fan, I can't feel real sorry for anybody after what's happened to them in the past.
Yeah.
They were deserving as anybody.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen for reasons. So I just anxious to see how it plays out, and I just got a feeling if Yormark gets the chance, he's going to have more than one of them on the stage with him. I think that's going to happen. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Well, I do know why, because he is who he is.
Yeah.
But anyhow, have a great weekend.
Appreciate it, Steve.
We'll talk to you later.
Great call, Steve. Thank you so much. Great call. Great call. Okay, I think we're going to end it for the night. Unexpected live show, but we had to do it. Board of Regents meeting for 2 days, May 30th and the 31st. Special board meetings. Sorry, we're gonna have to shut that off. It should be off. Sorry, guys, we're gonna close it up. But put your head on a swivel. Sorry, Monovision. We're shutting it down for the night. I appreciate you all calling, all your donations. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. You'll get notified of our next live show, next episodes. We appreciate you all coming in, but we have to close it down at some point. We're going to close it down right now. I've got family duties awaiting for me, even at this late night hour. So, peek around the corner. Stick with us. It's going to be a very eventful June. So brace for impact. Buckle up. Until next time. From all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other.